Who do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? You know, that's one of my favorite fighters. But yeah.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference to people.
Terence Crawford has reportedly broken his silence after Floyd Mayweather's bold call-out in the aftermath of the Canelo Alvarez fight, and his response is as sharp as his jab. While the boxing world has been buzzing over Mayweather's comments, many wondered if Bud would take the bait and fire back. True to form, Crawford didn't hold back, addressing Floyd's remarks head-on while also making it clear that he's focused on cementing his own legacy. His response not only adds fuel to an already heated conversation in the boxing community, but also raises the stakes for what could be one of the most talked-about potential showdowns in years.
Yo, yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound, you or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
Me.
Oh, shit, okay, I'm just asking.
Oh,
Floyd was pound for pound before.
That would have been a hard fucking fight, though.
Man, me versus anybody, I'm going to always say me.
Okay.
Come on now.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who would win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd would win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
Yes. He's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in
But
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have
Can't
an
say that
OG
about
somewhere.
anybody
though.
else. Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody
somewhere.
got a pioneer, right? Yeah, you got to.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere.
yeah,
And I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
Stephen A. Smith lauded Terence Crawford's performance in his unanimous decision over Canelo Alvarez, calling him the best fighter in the world. He argued that Crawford had just done something exceptional, moving up in weight, defeating a big-name champion who held all 4 belts in the super middleweight division, and doing so in dominant fashion. Stephen A. emphasized not only Crawford's technical skills, but also his mental toughness and consistency over many years. For Stephen A., Crawford's ability to beat great opponents while maintaining an unblemished record, and now capturing undisputed status in yet another weight class, puts him at the very top of boxing's current hierarchy.
Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part, and it was definitely a legacy fight, something he had told me. He had been telling me for the last 2 years. He had one time I was at a UFC event, Molly and Cam, at the Sphere.
Shane Mosley believes Terence Crawford holds the edge over Floyd Mayweather in several key areas, especially size and physicality. Mosley points out that Crawford is naturally bigger, with longer reach and greater strength, advantages Mayweather rarely had, particularly at welterweight. However, Mosley doesn't dismiss Mayweather. He emphasizes Floyd's exceptional technical sharpness, defense, and ring IQ as what sets him apart. While Crawford may not need to rely on evasive skills as much due to his physical gifts, Mayweather's mastery in those areas allowed him to overcome fights even when size was against him. Mosley argues that Crawford combines physical edge with impressive skill, but that Mayweather's legacy was built on near-flawless technique.
Who do you think's better out of those two, Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. And it would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
In an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, Terence Crawford addressed comparisons between him and Floyd Mayweather, drawing attention to Canelo Alvarez's unique perspective, having shared the ring with both fighters. Crawford emphasized that the fights occurred under notably different conditions, when Mayweather faced a young, less experienced Canelo, whereas Crawford fought him at 168 pounds when Canelo was fully developed and battle-hardened under the undisputed super middleweight titles. According to reports, Canelo said he felt more power from Crawford than he ever did from Floyd.
Recognize this was a 168-pounder fighting a 147-pounder. He had one fight at 154 last August, was the undisputed king at 147, beating Errol Spence in July of 2023, came back the following year, fought Israel Madrimov at the soccer stadium in Los Angeles, and then did everything he could to get this fight, played his cards the right way, and there he was, standing face-to-face against Canelo Alvarez, who did seem for the longest time like he didn't want to take this fight, and because there was great risk involved, because not only is Terence Crawford one of the all-time best fighters in the history of the sport, he's smaller than him, so a lot of people would be like, oh, of course you're going to beat the smaller guy, right? But I think Canelo recognized, yeah, he might be smaller, but he's that damn good. Like I said, switch hitter, boxing IQ, higher than most, if not anyone in the game.
In past years, Crawford has consistently dismissed the idea that he would ever fight Floyd Mayweather. Crawford made it clear that Mayweather belongs to a different era and that their careers should not be forced into a direct clash. He stressed that Floyd retired undefeated and cemented his place as one of the greatest, while Crawford is focused on carving his own legacy rather than chasing a fight that will never happen. On several occasions, Bud has said comparisons are unnecessary, reminding fans that Mayweather was the best of his time, and he is the best of his. Crawford doubles down on his respect for Mayweather by calling him a legend and making it clear that there is no real need for a comparison. He stresses that Mayweather's era has already been sealed in history as a period of dominance, while his own time is about building a different kind of legacy. By refusing to force a direct rivalry, Crawford frames the conversation in a way that honors both men's careers. This approach not only shuts down unnecessary comparisons, but also elevates the sport by celebrating multiple forms of greatness rather than insisting on one definitive answer. Robert Garcia lauded Terence Crawford's showing against Canelo Alvarez, saying Crawford fulfilled the expectations many had for him. He pointed to his power, skill, and composure in the ring as proof of meticulous preparation and raw talent. By taking down a star of Canelo's magnitude, Crawford demonstrated he can dominate at the highest level, reinforcing his status among boxing's all-time greats. Garcia's praise lends further credibility to Crawford's place in the sport, showing that veteran trainers and analysts recognize and respect what he has achieved. Many fans and pundits think the idea of a Crawford versus Mayweather matchup is gimmicky for several reasons. First, Mayweather is long retired, so the fight would only be possible as an exhibition or fantasy scenario, not a realistic competition between primes. Second, people feel that comparisons are being stretched to hype up Crawford's current achievements by using Mayweather's legendary status as a benchmark. Third, some critics argue that Crawford's style, stance switching, counter-punching, and defensive mastery isn't flashy or action-packed enough for casual audiences who prefer knockout-heavy fights. They see the hype more as marketing than sporting substance. Finally, there's concern over nostalgia bias. Many fans want Mayweather to still be seen as the best, which makes any claim that someone has surpassed him feel like pushing a narrative rather than a fair evaluation. Crawford has made it clear that he respects Floyd Mayweather's achievements and sees him as the top fighter of his time. At the same time, Crawford insists that he belongs to a different era, one in which he is establishing his own dominance and defining greatness on his terms, rather than trying to outdo someone who retired undefeated. He argues that comparisons across eras are unnecessary, believing that each fighter's legacy should be judged within the period they competed. Crawford's stance reflects humility toward Mayweather's legacy and confidence in his own path, emphasizing that greatness doesn't require beating past legends, but proving oneself at one's own time. After losing to Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez publicly acknowledged that Crawford outperformed him in their fight and even suggested that Crawford is superior to Floyd Mayweather in some aspects. Since Canelo has fought both men at high levels, his comparison carries extra credibility. He admitted he could not decipher Crawford's style during their match, despite extensive preparation, and credited Crawford for being more complete in skill. Canelo's perspective is particularly meaningful because it comes from first-hand experience rather than speculation. Many boxing insiders push back against the frequent comparisons between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, seeing them as exaggerated. They argue that Mayweather's career was defined by qualities that simply cannot be reproduced: his defensive genius, flawless ring IQ, and unrivaled ability to dictate fights with surgical precision. To these observers, Crawford's current success, while impressive, is still framed more by hype and the eagerness of fans to crown a new heir to Mayweather's throne than by an equal body of work. They also highlight the contrast in styles. Mayweather built his career on calculated defense and financial mastery, while Crawford thrives on stance switching, controlled aggression, and risk-taking. For skeptics, the comparisons are more emotional than realistic.
You guys say it with me. Terence Crawford isn't Mayweather. I need you guys to sit here, grab somebody close to you, hold their hand, sit down, say it with me. Terence Crawford is not Floyd Mayweather. They're just both black. That's the only similarities they have. They both black. Terence Crawford loves being hit. The guy likes to scrap. He likes to brawl. Terence Crawford isn't even an Alexander Usyk. This guy loves being hit. He gets a thrill out of it. He sticks his tongue at his opponents when he is hit. Look at that. He enjoys that stuff. He tends to fight with low hands at times. He tends to exchange and brawl in the pocket, plant and fire, despite him having really great feet. Sometimes he likes to sit there and fire. You have Terence Crawford beating Canelo, that's fine. I get you. But don't bring up Floyd Mayweather. No similarities. Floyd was way quicker, way sharper, better defensively, better reflexes, better timing, better IQ, better damn near everything. So say it with me one more time before we go. Terence Crawford, we said it, is not Floyd Mayweather. There we go.